So, welcome. My name is Moonlight Mystic. This channel that you've tuned into is Conscious Life Revolution. And we are looking at basically the system and looking at it from a spiritual perspective, an energetic perspective, and not looking at things from the surface, but looking at things from a lens where we can see in the dark and look at things that are deeper, a lot deeper, that lie under the surface, because that's where we are going. Who will be the spiritual leaders of our time? Okay, of our time, the time that we live in. And what is this time that we live in? Okay, 2020, you know, it's got a hard rap. A lot of people have been quite negative about this year, and I just wanted to, in this video, draw upon the positive aspects of 2020, not looking at it from a 3D perspective, not looking at it from what we have been told, or the fear, the resistance, and the judgment aspect, but looking at it from a different lens, from a different perspective. So what is 2020? I would say 2020 is 2020. It's a mirror. First and foremost, it's a mirror reflection. It's a year where 20 reflects 20. It's 2020 vision. It's when the eyes begin to open up, when we begin to see things that are below the surface. 2020, we speak of 2020 vision. It is a year of moving into equality and energetic matching, and I'll talk about that in another video. But equality, you know, we have the perspective and the lens, the filter of reality that comes from the governing mind, and then we have the lens, the filter, the perspective, and the heart energy that is coming from the people. And you know, there's been an imbalance because there's been too much of this governing mind energy in terms of information that has been given, things that we have been told to believe and to consciously agree with, right? And the balance has not been equal, and in terms of power, in terms of perspective, in terms of control. And what happens is, if within a tower, if one side begins to have too much weight on it, there's too much weight given to one side, what's going to happen? Topples over. Okay, so 2020 is really about a rebalancing. It is about sight. It is about finding the expansive reality, the reality that is not just within the box of what we are told, but the expansive reality, the reality that extends to spiritual sight, and the reality that extends to higher consciousness. And when we begin to come into that spiritual consciousness and that higher consciousness, and into that energetic field of that higher consciousness, then what happens is that as the people, we begin to equilibralize, we begin to find the equilibrium, and we are no longer subjected to the programmed consciousness of the collective that is being transmitted. We come into more light and more vision. So that's 2020. So that's what's really going on. And you know, once we come into the completion of this year, because it's been a hard and fast year, and there's been a lot of things that have been going on, there is a strong desire on the part of the governing head to create a new world, and there's a strong desire in the governing mind of the collective, of the people, to create a new world. Okay, so 2020 also represents a crossroads. Okay, it's there is a strong agenda that is being mirrored equally between people and governing mind, governing forces. Okay, ultimately we're coming into the realization that as the body, as the collective, as the people, that we can think for ourselves, you know, and that we have for thousands of years, we have, a majority of us, moved into the structure and the system of incorporating a foreign governing head to be our mind, to be our thoughts, to be our directive, to be our you know, the authority on the matter, whatever the matter may be. So where are we going? You know, I just think about this a lot, and I think you know, there's so much discussion around what the government is doing, peeling back the curtain, rediscovering more agendas that are damaging for humanity and for the human race, and for you know, the environment as a whole, and for the future generations. And you know, so where are we going? What are we doing? It doesn't, what we need to realize is that in a sense, this is distraction, this is uncertainty, this is deception. Do we need to enmesh our energies and our consciousness with these distractions, these uncertainties, and these deceptions? No. We don't have to do that if we have a vision, if we have a directive, if we have an active navigational system that is working. And our navigational system is not able to work when we are relying on the governing head as the consciousness of the body, of the people. Okay, what we need to move into is a higher consciousness. So that said, I'm just going to read what I have written here. It's going to be a bit all over the place, but you know, and bringing this stuff from under the surface to above the surface can be quite confronting and quite deep. and it's not going to be for everyone, and so that's okay. Who will be the spiritual leaders of our time? Well, in order to answer this question, we first need to identify the time we are in from a spiritual perspective. Okay. Nothing is as it seems to be. We are coming out of the darkness and the shadows that created the darkness, into a liberation of light. And that's where all that 2020 analogies come from. The darkness that we encounter on the earth today is created not through that which we perceive openly upon the surface, upon the 3D reality, but rather from that which is hidden, that which is obscured from our conscious awareness. Okay, this is the undercurrents of the emotional underworld and the deep subconscious mind of humanity. That is where everything is forged and created. And when we don't have when we are not the mastermind, okay, when we are not the ones that are able to see in the darkness, when we are avoiding the darkness because we are afraid of what might be there, that is to our own fault, really. That does not give us the advantage. We need to have the courage to be able to recognize that darkness is merely the absence of light, and that we are created as the light. And, you know, as the light, when we hold and yield the flashlight, that we have that mechanism, and we have that light or lamp of our spirit. Why? To go into the darkness, to shed light on what is there, because it is key that we are able to see what is hidden there. Because in revealing what is hidden in the darkness, that doesn't put us at a disadvantage. It puts us at an advantage, but we need to be able to have the courage to have a look. And it's not about exposing this conspiracy theory energy. It's not about exposing. It's about coming face to face with the darkness, the illusions that we ourselves have created, because we have been exposed to a system, a structure of control that seeks to control the consciousness of humanity, right? And the energetic transmission of humanity. Because that's where reality, what is reality? Well, reality is basically what we create within our consciousness and within our energy. If something is in our consciousness, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, if you have a whole group of people that have a particular consciousness, then they're going to create the energy in the consciousness, and that will be their reality. So we can choose reality, okay? But we haven't come to that place yet. We've just subjected ourselves or submitted to one consciousness, one perspective, which is the governing head, the mind, the governing mental energy. Anyway, so 2020 has triggered within humanity an unavoidable face-to-face encounter with the shadow self and the hidden aspect of our conscious life, or unconscious life, as the case may be. However we choose to view this past year, one thing remains the same for everyone. 2020 marks a new way of looking at the world and the future of that world. We can sense the change and the shift towards a new reality, a new way of life. We all wonder, how will this life on earth evolve in the years to come. While we've all experienced the distractions, the uncertainties, the deceptions, we experience these energies because we have no set course. We have no direction at this point in time. We do have those things, but we haven't tapped into them yet. We have no navigational system that's reassuring us that we are moving swiftly towards the target, towards the vision of what we want to create as a collective consciousness and the energy of that collective consciousness, okay? And the reason why we have no set course, no direction, no navigational system that is active within us is because we have become dependent upon a system that acts as a governing mind and controls the consciousness of the collective. The way in which the collective mind is controlled is ancient in its origins. It is the covert perversion of spiritual wisdom. It is the shadow energy of darkness. It is a trickery. It is a game of illusions. Those who seek to control are those who use the energetic patterns of consciousness to influence the emotional intelligence of humanity. Spirituality only becomes religion when we are no longer motivated by connection and the creation of life, which is heart-centered energy, but we become rather motivated by control and the illusion of separation. And what is government other than political religion? Okay? It is political religion. And that religion is based on control and based on a separation consciousness. Okay? Because, you know, it's easier to control the masses when we are indifferent to one another. Okay? It's easy to control the masses when there is a consciousness that is created that comes from a place of fear, comes from a place of resistance to one another or to what is, and comes from a place of judgment. Okay? So spirituality only becomes religion when we are no. I've just read that. This is otherwise known as the knowledge of good and evil. The tree, or the energetic pattern. The tree is in here. This is our Garden of Eden, people. This is where the tree, the neural networks live. Okay, the subconscious mind, the deep mind of consciousness. And you know, there's been studies that have shown that when we leave our body, you know, we are still that, we are that expansive consciousness, and we come into the body when we are born, and we develop a whole new consciousness, and it's based on the systems of this world, the systems of control, and it's based on fear. It's based on judgment. It's based on resistance, resisting parts of ourselves that, you know, we feel, oh, I'm not good enough, or whatever it is. We are taught to resist certain things, to judge certain things, and to fear certain things, whether it's in ourselves or whether it's in other people. Okay, and so we take on this pattern. And it's chaos. And what Spirit is asking of us is for us to come out of the energetic pattern of consciousness, of fear, resistance, and judgment, and coming into the higher consciousness, which is connection, and which is love, which is empowerment from within. And which is a soundness of mind, because we learn to see in the dark. We learn to navigate and see the shadows for what they are, and we come out of them. And I really believe this is a theme that's coming through. We are coming out of the shadows of the system. We are coming out of the shadows. of the system. You know, what system? The system in our mind. Yeah, the system, you know, walking through the shadows of the system in our mind, in our consciousness.